Hey guys, Stephanie with AmericanMuscle.com here with the SCT BA-2600 90mm Mass Air Flow for 89 to 04 VA Mustangs. The BA-2600 90mm Mass Air Flow Sensor is going to be for those that are building for a supercharged application. It's a great option for those that have maxed out their current MAF setup and need to bump up so they can finish tuning and get all the power out of the mods that they can. Generally speaking, the stock MAF units tend to max out when you start to heavily modify your car and have more airflow coming, but things change a little when you switch to a forced induction setup. The stock unit can't handle all of the airflow, so you need a different type of sensor, usually an aftermarket sensor, in order to tune properly and make as much power as possible. So this is a 90mm Mass Air Flow Sensor, which is the largest MAF housing that you can get. Now if you're doing a bunch of upgrades, you're going to want to make sure that the aftermarket MAF that you pick is right for your setup. You have to keep in mind that air and fuel are upgraded together, so your MAF needs to work with your injectors and vice versa, at least if you're tuning with a handheld tuner. So with that being said, your tune is also going to come into play here as well. You'll need to consider whether you'll be tuning through a handheld device or custom tuning on a dyno. And yes, this is an upgrade that will require a tune, and usually a custom dyno tune produces the absolute best results, especially considering that this MAF is specifically for supercharged Mustangs. When you change over from an NA setup to a forced induction build, you are going to need to change your MAF no matter what. The stock MAF sensor is designed for an NA engine, and this means that it's a draw-through type. The engine draws the air in. Forced induction engines, on the other hand, need a blow-through type since you have the power adder forcing air into the engine. This MAF is going to work for both centrifugal and root-style blowers, and it's actually a replacement, not an upgrade, for the 2004 Lightning and the 03-04 Cobras, since they came from the factory as a forced induction engine already, so they need a blow-through type of MAF. But if you're planning on adding a blower to your GT or your Mach 1, then this is where you're going to be shopping. So I said that the MAF sensor corresponds with your fuel system, so by extension, it's also going to correspond with the horsepower output. SCT also has another 90mm MAF, the BA-3000, that is essentially the same as this one, but it's capable of supporting about 100 horsepower more than the BA-2600 is. The BA-2600 supports a range of power between 400 and 625 rear wheel horsepower on a centrifugal blower applications, and about 70 horsepower more on a roots blower application. And this is because power delivery is going to be a little bit different with the root style, so the MAF is able to support a little bit more power there. The BA-3000, on the other hand, will support 125 rear wheel horsepower more on both types of applications, so if you're planning on being in some of those higher numbers with your build, then you should check out the BA-3000. As far as price, both the BA-2600 and the BA-3000 are going to be the same price. They cost between $200 and $250, and they come with the aluminum housing and the sensor itself. But depending on what your Mustang you have, you might need a few other things to make this work for you. If you've got an 89 to 95, SCT makes an adapter cable so you can plug right in, and there's also a cone filter adapter that you might need depending on your air filter setup. So the install here is really pretty easy. I would say this takes an hour max to install, and you're looking at a 1 out of 3 wrenches in the difficulty meter. You need your basic hand tools here to disassemble the lower portion of your air intake system so you can get the factory MAF housing out. All you need to do in most cases is swap your factory housing with this housing right here, plug in, and reassemble your intake setup. Like I mentioned earlier, you will need a tune with this sensor, so you can't just fire the car up and start driving. Wrapping things up here, this is a 90mm Mass Air Flow from SCT. It's specifically designed as a blow-through MAF for supercharged cars, and it's capable of supporting up to 700 rear wheel horsepower when it's paired with a root-style blower, or 625 rear wheel horsepower on a centrifugal setup. It's got an aluminum housing, and you will need a tune for this. You can always check it out more online for yourself, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.